Love blinded me. From the moment I met Samantha, she captivated me. She was the kind of woman who turned heads when she entered a room, long auburn hair that cascaded down her back, emerald green eyes filled with mystery, and a laugh that made men want to chase her just to hear it again. I had never known a woman so effortlessly alluring. When she looked at me, I felt invincible. Our romance moved at lightning speed. Passion, desire, obsession, we had it all. Within months, I proposed, convinced I had found the perfect partner. Samantha accepted with a gleaming smile and a kiss so deep it left me breathless. Marriage felt like a dream, a fantasy woven with silk sheets and whispered confessions under dimmed lights. But dreams have a way of turning into nightmares. For years, I ignored the subtle warning signs. The way she scrutinized price tags as if wealth mattered more than love. The way her affection seemed to bloom in public yet wither in private. The way she calculated every move as if marriage were a game she intended to win. Still, I loved her. And that love made me blind. A marriage built on sand. My family owned Vanguard Enterprises, a real estate empire passed down through generations. With a legacy spanning over 50 years, the company's success rested on my shoulders as the only heir. My father, a shrewd businessman, taught me that trust in business was a weakness. Unfortunately, I failed to apply that lesson to my personal life. Samantha embraced wealth effortlessly. She wore designer dresses like second skin, accessorized with diamonds I spared no expense to buy. She loved the attention, the admiration, the life of luxury. I gave it all to her, believing that my devotion was enough to secure our happiness. But love was never enough for Samantha. She wanted more. I first noticed the shift after our third anniversary. She became distant, less affectionate, as if my presence annoyed her. Our conversations grew shallow, filled with half-hearted nods and forced smiles. She spent more time volunteering at charity galas, always dressed to perfection, always surrounded by men who lingered too long in her orbit. One evening, as I returned from an exhausting board meeting, I overheard her on the phone. She stood in the kitchen, twirling the stem of a wine glass, voice dripping with honeyed sweetness. "I can't wait to see you again." "No, he won't suspect a thing." My chest tightened. Who was she talking to? I stepped forward, making my presence known. Samantha turned, her expression unreadable. Without hesitation, she ended the call and greeted me with a slow, practiced smile. "You're home early," she remarked, sipping her wine. Something about the way she said it sent a chill through my spine. The first crack in the illusion. Doubt festered in my mind like an untreated wound. I tried convincing myself that I had imagined it, that my exhaustion made me misinterpret her word. But once suspicion plants its seed, it grows uncontrollably. She started coming home late, offering vague excuses wrapped in flirtatious laughter. Her phone, once carelessly left on countertops, now remained locked, always within reach. The perfume she wore smelled different, unfamiliar, as if she had adopted a scent meant for someone else. One night, curiosity got the best of me. As she showered, I unlocked her phone, something I had never done before. My heart pounded against my ribs, each second stretching into eternity. Messages flooded the screen, each more damning than the last. Daniel Whitmore. A name I knew all too well. A wealthy investor, former rival, and someone I had reluctantly partnered with to expand Vanguard Enterprises. He had always been charming, silver-tongued, and dangerously persuasive. But never once did I imagine he would worm his way into my wife's bed. The messages confirmed everything. Samantha wasn't just cheating, she was plotting. Once we secure the deal, he won't see it coming. I'll make sure everything goes through. He trusts me too much. We'll take everything, and he'll have nothing left. My hands trembled as I read their digital whispers of betrayal. This wasn't just an affair. Samantha and Daniel planned to strip me of my family's legacy, leaving me with nothing while they reaped the rewards. I stared at the screen, my world tilting off its axis. My wife, The woman I had cherished, protected, and built a life with, was my greatest enemy. The silent suffering. That night, I crawled into bed beside her, pretending nothing had changed. She nestled against me, her fingers tracing lazy circles over my chest. I fought the urge to recoil, disgust churning in my gut. Had she always been this deceitful? Had I been blind all along? I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but I knew I had to play the long game. If she believed I remained oblivious, she would continue her scheme without caution. I needed more evidence, undeniable proof that would expose her for what she truly was. The next morning, I hired a private investigator. Samantha kissed me goodbye, her lips warm, her scent intoxicating. I forced myself to play my part, smiling as she walked out the door, completely unaware that her downfall had already begun. The beginning of the end. A week later, the investigator returned with everything I needed. Photographs of Samantha wrapped around Daniel, their bodies tangled in passion. Secret meetings at high-end hotels, money exchanges that proved their conspiracy. Bank transfers under Samantha's name, funneled into hidden accounts she never thought I would uncover. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning to rob me blind. Rage burned inside me, but I refused to let emotions dictate my next move. No, I wouldn't lash out in anger. I would make sure she paid for every lie, every deception, every stolen kiss behind my back. Samantha thought she was in control. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I stood at the edge of destruction, staring into the abyss of betrayal. My wife, the woman I had loved, cherished, and trusted, was not only unfaithful but conspiring to leave me with nothing. The knowledge festered in my chest, burning like acid, yet I remained silent. Revenge, after all, is best served cold. Lies in silk and champagne. The following evening, Samantha draped herself in an emerald dress that clung to her curves, accentuating the beauty that had once captivated me. Her lips, painted blood red, curled into a seductive smile as she approached. "Are you coming to the gala tonight?" she asked, swirling her glass of champagne. "You've been so distant lately." I studied her, seeing her for what she truly was, an actress in a grand performance, playing the devoted wife while plotting my downfall behind the curtain. "Of course," I replied smoothly, raising my own glass. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Her eyes flickered with something unreadable before she leaned in, pressing a soft kiss against my cheek. "Good. We have some important people to impress tonight." By important, I knew exactly who she meant. Daniel Whitmore. The performance begins. The gala buzzed with the scent of money, power, and deception. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen stars, casting a golden glow over the elites of high society. Samantha wove through the crowd effortlessly, her laughter like a melody, her smile laced with calculated charm. I watched as she gravitated toward Daniel, their eyes locking in silent understanding. He placed a hand on her lower back, subtle, but enough to boil my blood. They thought they were untouchable, that I was nothing more than a blind fool too busy to notice the dagger pressed against my throat. They had no idea that I had already turned the blade around. "Ah, if it isn't the man of the hour," Daniel greeted as I approached, offering a handshake as though he weren't screwing my wife behind my back. I accepted it, squeezing harder than necessary. "Daniel, good to see you." Samantha's fingers lightly grazed his arm before she turned to me, her expression perfectly composed. "We were just discussing the merger," she said sweetly. "It's such a huge opportunity for Vanguard Enterprises. Daniel's investment will take the company to new heights." I sipped my drink, nodding thoughtfully. "Yes, I've been looking into it." Daniel smirked. "I'm sure you'll find everything in order. After all, with Samantha by your side, how could anything go wrong?" The audacity of the man nearly made me laugh. Samantha linked her arm through mine, her touch sending an involuntary shudder through me. "Darling, why don't you enjoy the evening? Let Daniel and I handle the details." I forced a smile. "Oh, I wouldn't dream of missing out. In fact, I'd love to discuss some numbers with you, Daniel, perhaps over a drink in my private lounge. He hesitated, but Samantha gave him a reassuring glance. He thought he had already won. Poor fool. A game of power. Inside my private lounge, the air grew heavier. The walls, lined with dark mahogany, exuded an intimacy that made deception even more palpable. I poured 2 glasses of whiskey, offering one to Daniel. He accepted, taking a slow sip before leaning back. So, what's on your mind? I swirled my drink, watching the amber liquid dance against the glass. Tell me, Daniel, do you believe in karma? His smirk faltered. Excuse me. I leaned forward, my voice low and deliberate. I mean, do you believe that actions have consequences? That betrayal doesn't go unnoticed. Daniel's grip on his glass tightened. I don't follow. I smiled, savoring the moment. You see, I've always believed that trust is a dangerous thing. Give it to the wrong person, and they'll stab you in the back without hesitation. His jaw tensed, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. What are you getting at? I pulled out my phone, casually scrolling before turning the screen toward him. Images filled the display. Him and Samantha, wrapped around each other in intimate embraces, secret meetings in hotel rooms, financial transactions linking his name to offshore accounts. Daniel paled. How? How did I find out? I cut him off smoothly. You and my wife aren't as clever as you think. But don't worry, Daniel. I'm not here to fight over a woman who was never loyal to begin with. No, I'm here to talk business. He swallowed hard, glancing toward the door. What do you want? I leaned back, relishing his discomfort. Simple. You're going to walk away from this deal. In fact, you're going to withdraw every dime you plan to invest. And in return, I won't ruin your career, your reputation, or your marriage. Daniel's eyes widened. Marriage? What the hell are you talking about? I smirked. Oh, you didn't think I'd dig deeper? Your lovely fiancée, Vivian, would be devastated to learn how you've been spending your late nights. His face turned ghostly pale. You wouldn't. I placed my phone down, my tone turning cold. Try me. The beginning of Samantha's downfall. Daniel left the lounge with his tail between his legs. By the time I returned to the gala, Samantha was waiting, her patience clearly wearing thin. Where have you been? She asked, looping her arms around my neck, forcing a smile for the onlookers. I kissed her cheek, whispering, Oh, just securing our future, love. The next morning, news broke that Daniel Whitmore had withdrawn from the merger. Samantha's fury was a beautiful sight to behold. She stormed into my office, her composure cracking for the first time. What the hell happened? She shrieked, slamming a folder onto my desk. Daniel pulled out. The entire deal is falling apart. I leaned back in my chair, feigning innocence. Oh? That's unfortunate. She glared at me, her emerald eyes flashing with rage. Don't play games with me. You did something. I know you did. I tapped my fingers against the desk. Let me ask you something, Samantha. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? Her breath hitched. Find out what? I tilted my head, studying her. That you were screwing Daniel behind my back. That you were planning to steal my company and leave me with nothing. Her face drained of color. I don't know what you're talking about. I chuckled. Oh, sweetheart, don't insult me. I have proof, messages, bank records, even footage. You and Daniel weren't nearly as discreet as you thought. She stumbled back, panic flickering in her expression. If you knew, why didn't you? Because I wanted to watch you squirm, I interrupted, standing up. I wanted to see how far you'd go. And now? Now, I get to enjoy watching your world crumble. Samantha's lips parted, but no words came. She had played her game well, but she had underestimated me. And this was only the beginning of her downfall. Samantha stood frozen, her breath shallow, her emerald eyes darting across my office as if searching for an escape route. But there was none. She had walked into the lion's den, and I was ready to tear her world apart. She had schemed, lied, and betrayed me, thinking I was a fool who wouldn't fight back. But she underestimated the man she had married. Tonight, karma was knocking at her door. The web of lies unravels. Samantha recovered quickly, straightening her spine as she glared at me. "You're bluffing," she hissed. "You don't have proof." I chuckled, pulling open my desk drawer and tossing a thick folder onto the table. It landed with a heavy thud, the contents spilling out just enough for her to see the incriminating evidence. Photos of her and Daniel in intimate embraces, screenshots of their text exchanges, even financial records showing how she had been siphoning money from our joint accounts. Her fingers trembled as she reached for a page, her face paling as she read the details. "You thought I wouldn't notice the missing funds?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. "That I wouldn't check the offshore accounts you and Daniel set up under fake business names? You were sloppy, Samantha." She gritted her teeth, her gaze snapping to mine. "You bastard! You set me up." I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my desk. "No, sweetheart. You set yourself up. I just watched it all unfold." For a moment, silence stretched between us. Then, she laughed, low and bitter. "So what now? You think you've won?" I smiled. "Oh, I know I have. The perfect trap. Samantha wasn't just cheating, she was trying to take everything from me. But I wasn't just stopping her. I was ensuring she had nothing left when I was done. I had spent the past few weeks setting the stage, moving the right pieces into place. My team of lawyers had already been working behind the scenes, securing the business under my name alone. Every asset Samantha thought she had access to was now locked away. She just didn't know it yet. I leaned back, watching her as I delivered the final blow. I already spoke with the board members. The company no longer belongs to us, it belongs to me. Her breath hitched. "That's impossible. My shares have been transferred," I interrupted smoothly. "You signed the papers yourself last week. Didn't you read the fine print?" Samantha's mouth fell open as she scrambled to recall the documents she had signed. I had made sure to slip them in among the usual paperwork, disguising the transfer as a routine business agreement. She had been so busy planning my downfall that she never realized I had already sealed hers. "You," she swallowed, rage flashing across her face. "You tricked me." I shrugged. "You were too busy with Daniel to pay attention. You thought you were outsmarting me, but you were playing right into my hands." She shot up from her chair, knocking over the glass of water on my desk. "You son of a—" I raised a hand, cutting her off. "Careful, Samantha. Losing your temper won't change the fact that you've lost everything." She clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. "You can't do this." "Oh, but I already did." I reached for another folder and slid it toward her. "And here's the best part, our divorce papers. Signed, sealed, and ready to be filed first thing in the morning." Her lips parted, her breathing uneven. "You're divorcing me?" I arched a brow. "What did you expect? That I'd keep a cheating wife who tried to rob me blind?" Tears welled in her eyes, but I didn't feel an ounce of sympathy. Samantha wasn't crying because she had lost me, she was crying because she had lost the wealth, the power, and the luxury she had built her life around. And I wasn't done yet. Karma strikes back. "Now, here's where things get interesting," I continued. "Since you've been embezzling funds, the authorities might want to take a closer look at your financial records." Her head snapped up. "You wouldn't." "Wouldn't I?" I smirked. "See, I made sure to keep my hands clean. All the illegal transactions? They're under your name. The stolen funds? Transferred through your accounts." Samantha staggered back, shaking her head. "No. No, this can't be happening." "Oh, it's happening, sweetheart," I said, standing up. "You wanted to leave me with nothing. Instead, you'll be the one left with nothing." Her knees buckled, and she collapsed into the chair, her breaths coming in rapid gasps. I walked around the desk, looming over her. "Your lover already abandoned you. Daniel pulled out of the deal, and he's engaged to another woman. Do you really think he'll stand by you when the authorities start investigating? She looked at me with sheer desperation, her once powerful demeanor crumbling. Please, we can fix this. I scoffed. Fix what? The marriage you destroyed? The trust you shattered? No, Samantha. You made your choices. Now you live with the consequences. Her shoulders slumped, defeat washing over her like a tidal wave. For the first time, Samantha was truly alone. The final goodbye. I grabbed the divorce papers, holding them out to her. Sign them. She stared at the papers, her hands trembling. And if I don't? I smirked. Then I'll make sure the police get every single piece of evidence I have on you. And trust me, Samantha, you won't survive a financial fraud scandal. She knew she was cornered. Slowly, reluctantly, she picked up the pen and scrawled her signature across the document. I took the papers back, satisfaction coursing through me. Goodbye, Samantha, I said, my voice void of emotion. Enjoy your new life. She stared at me, eyes filled with regret and anger. But it was too late. I walked out of my office, leaving her behind, shattered, broken, and defeated. And as I stepped into the sunlight outside, I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. Samantha had tried to steal everything from me. But in the end, karma had given her exactly what she deserved. The moment I walked out of that office, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. The woman who had once vowed to love me had plotted against me, betrayed me, and tried to rob me of everything. But she had failed. And now, she was nothing more than a fading chapter in my past. A new beginning. In the weeks that followed, Samantha's world crumbled. The divorce was finalized swiftly, thanks to the airtight paperwork I had prepared. She fought for a settlement, tried to manipulate the courts, even played the victim card, but the evidence against her was overwhelming. Her bank accounts? Frozen. Her lavish lifestyle? Gone. The social circles she once thrived in? They turned their backs on her the moment the scandal surfaced. The final blow came when the authorities launched a formal investigation into the missing company fund. Samantha had been reckless, leaving behind a trail of fraudulent transactions. The same woman who once prided herself on always being one step ahead was now facing serious legal trouble. I had nothing left to say to her. My revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was cold, calculated, and absolute. She had tried to leave me with nothing. Now, she was the one who had lost everything. Daniel's fate. As for Daniel, the man she had betrayed me for, his downfall was just as satisfying. Once he realized Samantha was a sinking ship, he bailed without hesitation. He withdrew from their secret business deal, disappeared from her life, and quickly moved on to his next victim. But karma wasn't done with him either. His real estate firm, which had thrived on deception, came under scrutiny after one of his former partners exposed fraudulent dealings. Lawsuits piled up, and soon, his reputation was in shambles. The last I heard, he had fled the city, trying to escape the mess he had created. I didn't waste another thought on him. He was nothing more than a cockroach scurrying into the shadows, reclaiming my life. With Samantha and Daniel out of the picture, I focused on rebuilding. The business flourished under my leadership, stronger than ever now that I had cut out the poison that had been eating away at it. I surrounded myself with people I could trust, loyal employees, true friends, and family members who had stood by me when I needed them most. For the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. No more lies. No more betrayal. No more pretending. I was free. An unexpected encounter. One evening, months after the chaos had settled, I found myself at a rooftop event hosted by one of our business partners. The city lights stretched endlessly before me, a dazzling reminder of how far I had come. And that's when I saw her. Across the terrace, deep in conversation with a group of executives, was a woman who immediately caught my attention. She wasn't striking in the obvious way Samantha had been, her beauty was softer, more genuine. She had a warmth about her, a quiet confidence that drew me in. As if sensing my gaze, she turned, and our eyes met. For a moment, the world seemed to pause. Then, she smiled. Not the kind of smile laced with manipulation or hidden agendas. A real, sincere smile. Something stirred in me, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. I wasn't sure where this moment would lead, but for the first time in a long while, I was ready to find out. Because no matter how much pain and betrayal I had endured, I refused to let it define me. My past was behind me. And my future? It was just beginning.